Is going to be James Dickey. He is the chairman of the Texas Republican Party. We heard him give an impassioned speech at the Lincoln Day dinner in Tarrant County back in February, talking about what we need to do to save Texas, and specifically for us to save North Tarrant County, not North, but Tarrant County, sorry. So he's going to talk to us a little bit about that, and keeping Texas red and keeping Tarrant County red. Please welcome James Dickey. What would you like? We can move that.
That's all right. Yeah. So I do have a couple of cool pictures, but we can do this without the pictures. So what I wanted to share with you is a presentation I do all around the state to donors, to activists, to board members, to candidates and office holders, and it's called Red Alert Texas. And that's in case anybody does not get the hint from looking at last year's election results that we have things to be concerned about. Now that said, it's really important that we take an accurate picture of where we actually stand. And one of the things I like to do on that is first take a look at, for the last few sessions, for the last few cycles, how have we done financially as a party? And so one of the things you guys can look at, the last 10 years of our audited financial results are all up on our website at texasgop.org/audits. And if you look at that, what you will see is that last cycle, the 2018 cycle, we raised about 25% more for operations funds than for any other cycle in the last 10 years. Yeah, that was not bad. Even more importantly, victory funds, which are funds that are spent in the general election to beat Democrats. This is money just for mailings, just for paid block walking. Has nothing to do with overhead and accounting and lawyers and all the rest of the stuff that we rent and all the rest of the stuff we have to deal with. Victory funds were triple in the 2018 cycle what they were the cycle before. And as a result of that, we did get one giant thing that we cannot lose sight of. For the 12th election in a row, the Republican Party of Texas retained every single statewide office. We are the only state in the country where Republicans have had that kind of dominance over Democrats. But, you knew there was a but.
Yes.
But, we lost 2 of our 21 Senate seats, one of them right here. Right? The other one over in Dallas. We lost 12 of our 95 House seats. All over each of the major metro areas. But don't forget, it was just 10 years ago when the Texas House was 76-74 Republican. Right? There's a reason this group started 10 years ago. There's a reason why we started the Dallas Tea Party 10 years ago. We needed it, and we needed to fight back, and we did, and we made big wins, and so these losses hurt, and these losses affect us right here in this area. The most impactful loss we have, bar none, we lost 31 of 32 Court of Appeal seats. That cost us a majority on every single urban area Court of Appeals court in the state. And those are 6-year terms. So it will be 6 years before we have a chance to win those back. But we're going to have to. And we lost 2 of our 25 U.S. congressional seats. 1 each in Dallas and Houston. But the big kahuna of all the races last time was what? The Senate race, that's right. Ted Cruz's race. And just put some perspective on it. So Senator Cruz won. He won by 2.6%, a little over $200,000 votes. And to put it in perspective, 4 years earlier, Senator Cornyn won by 10 times the margin. He had a 27-point margin just 4 years earlier. Now, a lot of factors went into that. One factor, undeniably, it is not it is never sufficient, but it is necessary, and is never the factor by itself, but it is always table stakes, money in politics. Senator Cruz raised what would have been a national record for a U.S. Senate race, $38.9 million. That's a lot of money for a U.S. Senate race. Except his opponent raised twice as much in the exact same race, $80.3 million. Over 70% of which, as far as we can tell, came from outside the state. Right? So money was a factor, but I will tell you, from having looked at this really closely, 4 years earlier, we had Wendy Davis against Governor Abbott, right? She had money, she had $40 million. But where O'Rourke did well was because his strategy was completely different. He did not spend a bunch of money on media, and he did not spend his money trying to convince Republicans to vote for him. His campaign's express goal was add 1 million more Democrat voters. That's what they wanted to do, add 1 million more Democrat voters. They had figured out if they could do that, they would win, except we did better. So they actually added more than 1 million more Democrat voters. They more than doubled their turnout from the prior 4 years earlier. We just did well enough better that he ended up losing by 200,000 votes. But how do you work to get those 1 million votes turned out? We've done a lot of research and a lot of analysis. The most important thing to turn out a voter is a knock on their door in the last 5 weeks of the election. Right? God bless them. Most of our fellow citizens are plenty happy to leave the politics to other people until the last 5 weeks of the election. So a knock on their door is absolutely critical. Well, 2 months before the election, we had 8 field staff spread across the state. Senator Cruz had 18 paid field staff spread across the state. O'Rourke had 18 paid field staff across the state. Governor Abbott had 100 paid field staff spread across the state. And they were doing a good job, good work. We knew exactly where to put them. Our worst case was not the 12 we lost, it was 15. And so we were working in all of those areas. In the last month, we stayed at 8. The Cruz campaign stayed at 18. The Abbott campaign went from 100 to 140. Big push. The O'Rourke campaign went from 18 to 821. Now think about that for a second. Think about anyone here who's ever hired somebody, trained them, got them going. Think about the systems and processes they had to have in place to be ready to even handle the paperwork for 800 new employees, right? Well, now knowing they've done that, we can make sure that we're ready to do the same when we're down to crunch time this election. So I get asked a lot, is this all President Trump's fault, right? No. Everything is apparently, right?
Sure,
yeah.
sure.
According to Obama, it was all W's fault, and now everything's President's fault. Now,
It really was Obama's fault, though.
Obama only lost his first election in 08, he only lost Texas by 12 points. So Clinton losing by 9 against President Trump, that's not a big difference. So no, that's not a big deal. On the other hand, our 38 electoral votes, President Trump won states that people had not seen a Republican win in decades. States like Wisconsin and Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania. Even if he wins every one of those other states, if he does not win Texas, he does not win. He falls too short. He ends up at 268, which those of you in the room who have actually read the Constitution, which means everybody here, know 268 is short of 270, you don't win. There is no path to victory for any Republican candidate, much less the president, without Texas. So I hate it when people say this is the most important election in your lifetime. So you will not hear me say this is the most important election in your lifetime, but the presidency is at stake, no question. In the congressional races, not only did we lose 2 of the congressional races, 1 each here in Dallas and Houston, but we have 9 more races where the margin's only 7.5 points. And we have 6 races where the margin's only 3 percentage points. And so the Democrat National Congressional Committee has already announced that Texas is ground zero for them.
Yep.
It is their best offensive chance in the country. Those 6 races are their top 6 goals out of every race in the country. And the Texas House, we lost 12 House races. And because we lost those 12, well, we've got a good chance to win some of those back. And we need to be working right now to try to win those back. But because we lost those 12, it only takes 9 more to flip the House. And if you flip the House, not only do we lose the speakership, but we lose control of redistricting in 2020. And Texas, by all accounts, is likely to have 3 more electoral votes, 3 more congressional seats. So redistricting is going to be massive. It's going to have a big impact on every one of those districts, and it will have a big impact for most of the decade. So it's absolutely critical that we do this. Those 9 House races, 7 of them have a margin of 5% or less, 7 of them are right here in DFW. And 3 of them are on this side of the Metroplex. So it is absolutely critical that you guys work to win support, to grow support in those areas. I'm so happy to hear you guys already working on welcoming people to the state, working on voter registration. That is so critical. Texas registered voters have grown by 2.8 million just between the 2012 primary and the 2018 general election.
Yeah, amazing.
The 3 elections before that, we were flat at 13 million. Last general election, there were 15.8 million. Here's the fun part. Normally, between a primary and a general, they would grow by 300,000 or 400,000 votes each time. We've grown by 400,000 votes since November. So the pace of change is increasing. Now, until last year, we had just counted on just kind of getting our share organically. We cannot count on that anymore. We have to be intentional about registering voters. Because turnout in the last 4 presidential elections grew by 1.5 million votes across all 4, across 16 years presidential elections, until it grew to 8.9 million voters in the 2016 election. We're expecting 11.5 million voters this next election, November 2020, which means turnout will have grown by double the amount in 1 cycle that it grew in the 4 cycles before that. So if there are going to be, and not only that, 26% of that growth is going to be right here in DFW. 49% of the growth is going to be just DFW in Houston, and 66% of all the growth in the entire state is going to be DFW, Houston, Greater Austin, Greater San Antonio. So what that means is if there are going to be 11.5 million votes, and we need 5.8 million of them to get half. President Trump got 4.7, Governor Abbott got 4.7. That means we've got to add 1.1 million more Republican votes next November to make sure we win, and 2/3 of that growth have got to come from the major metro areas. Now the good news is, just 4 years ago, 2018, we won all the major metro areas except Greater Austin. We only lost that by 13,000. So the question is, the change from 2014 to 2018, is that a trend or is it a blip? And I will tell you the answer depends on you and me and every other Republican we can find. Here's what we need to do. We need to register voters. So if you don't happen to be if you're a deputy voter registrar, raise your hand. Great. If you're not already one, try to become one, whether you are one or not. If you meet a great person you want me to register to vote, tell them to text TX vote to 72,000. Text TX vote to 72,000. We will take their name, address, and email. We will get a card mailed to them, and we will follow up and make sure they get registered to vote. And then refer great staff and candidates and volunteers to us. Get people signed up with us. Use our systems. Thank you for those of you doing the city council school board races. I was just in block walking for runoff and city council races in Plano on Saturday. We won back a lot of city council races this last time. And anybody who tells you they don't matter, we shouldn't be involved in them, 6 years ago, Beto was a city councilman in El Paso. It matters.
Matters. Big time.
Beto who?
So guys, we need your help, we need your involvement. Thank you for the passion and intensity and commitment you put in here. It matters. I love you guys. God bless you. God bless Texas.